Yes, ma'am. The data on the MiG is inaccurate.
How's that, Lieutenant?
The most valuable commodity I know of is information. Wouldn't you agree?
Picture clusters of information as they move through the computer.
Let me ask you a question. How many photos are in your phone right now? I mean, seriously, take a guess. 100? 1,000? 5,000? Now think about this. Every one of those photos is data. Every text message you've ever sent, every song in your playlist, every time you typed a search into Google, every time you've tapped like or scrolled past a video, data. We hear that word everywhere. Data privacy, data breaches, big data, data-driven decisions. But if someone stopped you and said, explain what data actually is, could you? Most people pause there. Not because they're not smart, but because the word gets used so much, we stop defining it. So today, we're going to fix that. Now hold on. Before you stop this podcast and say, I don't want to know about data, this is an interesting one. And it ties into a talk that I gave last week as the keynote speaker at the first annual AI Summit at Wilkes University. So let's go along.
Talking about gadgets, games, and gears. AI buzzing in your ears. Parents, teachers, kids unite. We're learning tech and doing it right. Oh, it's a tap, swipe, scroll kind of show where zeros and ones are ready to go. From old school DOS to robots that talk, we're jamming with Mr. Fred's Tech Talks.
All right, welcome in, welcome back. And if you're new, thanks for being here. I'm really happy that you stopped by and you found this podcast. And for those of you who have been listening for a while, I'd like you to please make sure to share this out with friends, family, teachers, schools, wherever you think they could use another voice that would explain how technology works. So I take a lot of the big technology topics and I break them down so they actually make sense. I'm Mr. Fred, and here we go. We're going to answer a simple question that unlocks a whole lot. What is data? All right, at its core, data is simple. And I teach a freshman technology class every fall. And in that class, I lay out this sequence: data, information, knowledge. It's almost like a mantra. Data, information, knowledge. So data transforms into information. Information is then utilized and transformed into knowledge. That's it. Now, when talking about data, data is information that has been recorded so it could be used later. No computers are really required. Think about it for a second. A handwritten recipe card that's in your cabinet, or maybe that your grandmother passed down along, over the years, that's data. A scoreboard at a baseball game, that's data. A class roster that a teacher looks at, data again. Data's always existed. But what's changed? It's what you could do with the data now that's really changed. Because once information becomes digital, it could be stored instantly, searched quickly, shared globally, combined with other data. And that really does change everything. You're surrounded by data every day. So let me make this a little more real for you. Text data. Well, what are those? Well, it's the emails you write, messages, documents, notes. Then there's number data, bank balances, basketball scores, prices, step counts. And then you have image and video data. You have photos, videos, thumbnails, memes. Audio data, well, that's your music, your podcast, even voice assistants. And of course, location data. Everybody knows GPS now, but mapping data, directions, nearby suggestions are also location data. And here's the big one: behavioral data. Now, in the last episode, I was talking about how our phones might be perceived as listening to us. If you haven't listened to that one, go back to it. And I kind of share this notion of behavioral data a little bit in there. But this is what you do. It's what you click, how long you watch something, what you search for, what you almost buy, or what you don't buy. Every one of those actions creates a tiny data point. And when you stack millions of these together, patterns emerge. So trends. That's what powers recommendations. That's what fuels the ads that we see or get served up on our devices or wherever we walk about and it knows we're there. That's what feeds AI. All right, so let me give you a picture. I'm going to go back to my favorite analogy here. Think about that junk drawer. Man, that junk drawer keeps on popping up a lot on this podcast. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, a few episodes ago, I talked about finding a certain floppy disk in a desk drawer that I had. But once again, we all have a junk drawer. And usually we throw in there batteries, cables, keys, random stuff. Everything in there is useful, at least we think. But finding anything, good luck. How many times have you ever opened up a junk drawer and thought you looked, close the drawer and say, I can't find it. And then somebody opens up that drawer and there it is. You know, like I said, it's when you go to look for something, it could be chaotic. But that is what we would consider raw data. Now imagine organizing it. Batteries in one spot, cables in another, keys on a hook. Now you could actually use this. That's what happens when data gets structured. That's what systems and eventually databases do. They turn chaos into something useful. And we're going to take a step further in a future episode, and we'll talk a little bit more about databases. It's a topic near and dear to my heart. So data is the fuel behind almost everything you use. Your streaming apps, your GPS, your video games, your email filters, your social media feed. It's all powered by data. And here's the big one. AI does not work without data. So this week, or actually this past week now, I had the opportunity to speak at an AI summit held at Wilkes University in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and I was honored to be their keynote speaker. Crowd was great, energy was great, and one of the key ideas I shared was this. AI helps us create, analyze, and automate, but all three depend on data. No data? Well, no learning, no insight, no automation. AI is just an engine, and data, consider that the fuel. And here's something I said at the event that really stuck with me. In a world where tools are getting more powerful, the value of thoughtful people rises, not falls. Because understanding the data, that's what gives you the edge. All right, so let's make this real. I want you to think about your day for a second. Your alarm goes off. Well, that's data. You check the weather. That's data. You scroll social media. That's behavioral data. You drive, using your GPS. There's your location data. And then you buy your coffee or your favorite drink. Well, that's transaction data. And it's not even lunchtime yet. By the end of the day, you've created hundreds, maybe thousands of data points quietly, constantly. That's not something to fear. But it is something to understand, because once you understand it, you start to see the system. All right, let's move on to this episode's tech challenge. In this tech challenge, I'm going to call this the Data Day Audit. Okay, so pick one day of this week. From morning to night, I want you to write down every time you interact with data. You check your email. That's text data. Use your GPS, location data. Watched a video, behavioral plus video data. Took a photo, image data. And then at the end of the day, I'd like you to count it up. You'll be surprised. And if you're a teacher or a parent, this is a fantastic activity, because once people see how much data they create, they start thinking differently. Let's bring this all together here. Data isn't complicated. It's just recorded information, but it's also the foundation of everything in the digital world. And now you see it, you recognize it, and I hope you understand it. And that changes things, because when someone talks about data privacy or AI or tracking, recommendations, you're not guessing anymore. You get it. And that's what we're all about here. Not just using technology, but understanding it. Because understanding, it's what gives you control. Look, if you're enjoying these conversations and you want to go a little deeper, I'd love to invite you over to GetMeCoding.com. I've been building it for a number of years, and that's where I share simple, beginner-friendly ways to explore coding and technology and now AI without feeling overwhelmed. And if you'd like to stay connected, a little bit more regularly, well, guess what? I have had a Facebook page for a number of years, and also I'm on Instagram. Both of them are under GetMeCoding. And if you go there, you'll see I share ideas, quick tips, and things I'm experimenting with along the way. But there's something even better. We do have a private GetMeCoding community on Facebook, and you're invited to join, because I also, in that space, I do live streams occasionally there, and I share things that didn't make it into the podcast or the videos. I also have a group of like-minded learners there who are all just trying to figure this stuff out together. And I'll tell you something else that matters, just as much as learning technology. Not all learning happens on a screen. Some of the best problem solving and creativity happens when you step away from the device. So go outside, build something, explore. Try something that doesn't work the first time. Because coding and technology aren't meant to replace that kind of learning. They build on it. And when you find that balance, that's where the real growth happens. So whether you're building something with code or building something in your backyard, you're on the right track. And I'd love for you to be part of what we're building at GetMeCoding. Thanks for listening to me here at Mr. Fred's Tech Talks. Keep learning, keep questioning, keep building. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Allow myself to introduce myself.